The number one way to reduce turnover is to stop promoting people into failure. Often, strong individual contributors are promoted because they're great at the work. So great, we put them right to work to lead others in doing the work. We do more believing they can than training them how. That's why my Emerging Leaders program builds confident, capable leaders across 4 essential competencies: knowing themselves, connecting with others, leading the work, and developing their people. Leadership development does not happen in a classroom. And that is why this program ensures the participant owns their own growth. Their supervisor reinforces the learning every day in a guided process, and the skip level leader ensures alignment and accountability with intention and structure. The result are leaders who are less reactive, more strategic, and better equipped to build capability in others. Are you ready to build your leadership bench? Let's talk. Go to CoachCora.com for more information and to schedule a complimentary discovery call. Let's reduce that turnover.
Welcome to the People Playbook, where real people bring real workplace questions, and Coach Cora helps coach through the challenges leaders face every day. From hiring and communication to accountability, trust, team dynamics, and difficult conversations. This is where leadership gets practical, honest, and human. Real people, real questions, real coaching. Now, here's Coach Cora with the People Playbook.
Welcome to the People Playbook. I'm Coach Cora, and today we are taking on real people, real questions, and real coaching. Yes, live coaching sessions right here on the People Playbook. Because you know what? Leadership usually happens outside of perfect case studies. Where it happens is in real moments. It's the hard conversations. It's the hiring decisions. It's the frustration the team is feeling. It's our trust issues. And it's that question that every leader quietly asks, now what? And that's where just-in-time coaching comes in. That is my wheelhouse and my trademark. This is not a formal private coaching engagement or a structured session under a specific coaching standard. The just-in-time coaching is a practical, in-the-moment coaching conversation that provides the opportunity for people to pause, put a name to what's happening, and to find clarity in their next step. And that's exactly what we're going to do here on the People Playbook. Because if one person is asking the question, there are others that need the answer. So let's get in to today's question. What are some effective techniques for navigating the turbulent waters of conflicting priorities between your leader and the organizational priorities? Such a great question. This is brought to us by Shae Noble, who's coming to us on a call from the state of Washington. Shae, welcome to the People Playbook.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be an exciting conversation.
I'm excited. This is something I've ran into time and again. And as an expert myself, is one that sometimes, I still don't know how to solve. So I'm excited to pick your brain.
Well, and thank you for asking the question, because you are an independent HR leader and you offer cultural strategies. You serve as an interim CHRO, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have my own company, Trauma-Informed HR.
Yeah.
So I tend to attract values-driven businesses or people. And I try to live authentically. I try to do a good job as a high performer. People love to bring me in.
That's right.
But then I run into this.
Yeah, I love that. How long have you been in the HR world?
Oh, since before, even in college, people would start hiring me for projects, even as I was getting my degree. So it's definitely been more than 15 years professionally, and then, those years before college. So.
And I love that you bring this.
Time.
Yeah, it has been. I love that you bring this question, because one of the things that's unique about you and that I've learned about you is that you've held internal HR roles as an external consultant and as an internal interim. You have this full 360 view of the HR function within an organization. And you've seen this situation and been in that situation, like, now what? Right?
Yeah. And it happens in I've seen it happen in a lot of different ways. And I think that there's always these micro moments, you know, whether it's a systemic problem, which is a lot of what I solve is systemic problems, or it could even just be, you know, at the more granular point, more of a disagreement between, you know, two individuals. But when it's systemic, that's where it can be really, you know, I think it's challenging on either end, if it's an individual problem or a systemic problem. And there's a difference in the receptiveness sometimes to, you know, like for example, someone might bring me in, and then I'm hired to do a project, or I'm hired, you know, maybe there's been times I've been a W-2 employee, and you're reliant on that person, whether they're your boss, whether they're the person that hired you. Then there's the disconnect, you know, so you get in there and then you're committed to the outcome, but now you have this obstacle that's in the way of the mission and also in the way of your work, your performance. All of those things kind of come to a head, and it can be really challenging to navigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here you looked at an organization, were invited to participate in it. You're like, I like their values. I like what they stand for. I like what they're doing. I'm in. You come in, and all of a sudden, as you said, there's some disconnect on what you perceived the organization was about and stood for, and what you're seeing in action. The actions and decisions of your leaders aren't jiving with what the organization purported its values and priorities were. Fair?
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, what do I do? Yeah? How do I navigate that? I love this question. So I want to throw out an initial question for you to consider, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this. Putting yourself in one of those specific situations, like you said, I came in, I'm a high performer, I want to do a good job, I'm committed to the outcomes, and then I find this barrier in misalignment. So I would say when you are looking at that, put yourself back in that moment. Where is your focus? Is the focus, you're committed to the outcomes, is the focus on what the problem is or on the outcomes? Where in that moment when you're experiencing those emotions, what would you say you're more focused on?
I think the outcome, you know, it's like kind of that goal that or the direction I was given. But even as you're saying that, I'm like, maybe focusing on the relationship first might be a way, right? Because I think in those environments, it's so oftentimes kind of lacking structure. And so people tend to kind of hire based on friendships or make decisions based on the people, not the process. And so I think those are times, you know, kind of in thinking about it, it's like, I think that the relationship's so important to kind of massage first before being able to get through. But I do find it's hard because they might have a stronger relationship with someone else who isn't process, who might it kind of feels like they enjoy having that, we don't have to follow the process, or we don't, you know, they're kind of in like a little clique.
Sure, of course. I mean, it's no different from high school, right? And I think as leaders, when we tend to say, well, here's the problem, they're connected and I'm not connected to them, or we're trying to hire based on the position requirements and successful characteristics, they're hiring based on their gut or their friends, right? That happens. That's misalignment.
Yeah.
And so the problem itself, the problem is them, can create angst, especially for a high performer, especially somebody who really wants to do a good job when they see that that's not going to work, right? And that focus tends to be on, I don't want that. That's not right. Would that be fair? That it can create some angst?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then but what is the outcome? If the outcome is we want a good hire, to your point, then I can kind of step back and say, can we agree on what we want?
Oh, I like that.
And then we're focusing on, let me tell you the 6 ways till Sunday that something's wrong with you, which we can build. We know we're going to build resistance. You've seen that. Yeah. But if I say, can we agree on what we want from this? And if we're more focused, have you had those conversations? Because I know you do this for others. I'm confident you've done this for others. And that's why this coaching is, have you thought about doing it for yourself? I'm curious what has happened when you've asked questions such as, what would go wrong if we put the wrong person in this role? Conversely, what will go right if we find the right person? Can we walk through that?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear your thoughts on that kind of a question.
Yeah, I think those questions are really helpful, and I think like what you're saying is like coming at it with curiosity, right? Instead of driving to an outcome, it's like getting curious. I think it's also, in thinking back, it's also sometimes people will follow my rationale and they'll agree, but then they leave the room and go to their other advisor who then kind of changes their mind or and then they come back and then they're like, we're doing it this way or whatever. So it's like, at that point, it's like maybe just pulling in that other person to have that conversation, to ask those questions, making sure that all the key stakeholders are in the room.
I love that. Absolutely. And bringing all the stakeholders in, right? Because it's different if I say, hey, here's the problem. Here's what you're about to do. I'm telling you what to do. They're not committed. They may agree in the moment. They're going to walk away uncommitted. And then they're going to go get validation from somebody else and come back. No, we're going to do this, right?
Yeah.
But when we're asking them to agree on the outcome, and if we're building their buy-in, is it possible we can help them go influence the others? And then to your point, I love it. And then bring them back in. Hey, can we bring so-and-so in because having really thought this through, I see a different path and I want to help them see that.
Well, it's like that old adage of the making them feel like it's their idea, right? Like,
building in the buy-in. What do you think? What would happen? What happens if it doesn't, right? And even because we do, I don't have to tell you, you know this. So many leaders are still hiring on gut. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy, right?
Oh, I know.
But when we can really have them say, if we bring in this person that you really like and they're not a fit for the role, they don't have the knowledge, the skills, the ability, or the characteristics to truly excel, what does that look like for them? Right? That's real outcome focused. Because when we care about people, do we put them in situations where there's not alignment, there's not a success path? Is that fair? Can we look for something else that might be a better fit for them? So I want to ask another question. I'm just curious for you. When you see yourselves in these situations, you've heard of a mentality where maybe I'm in a helpless state. I have no control. Look what they're doing to me. More of that. I don't have control. I'm a victim mindset. There's also that mindset that says everything you're doing is wrong. I know the answer. You don't.
Yeah.
Right? That real judgmental, persecutorial, you're wrong mindset. And then there's also a mindset that says, let me do it for you because I'm much better at running your job in your life than you are. So let me just do that for you. I see you can't. Fair?
Yeah.
When you're in this situation, what would you predict is kind of your natural focus to fall into?
Well, I think those are three kind of competing ones that are at odds, but definitely the victim piece can come up. So you definitely.
I love your honesty. Yeah. And I think that's where we get in trouble. That focus.
And then you jump to the fixer, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I can fix this, or I was hired to do this to fix it.
Well, I think that's natural, isn't it? Especially in HR. We see it a lot in HR. Yeah, let me just fix it.
That's what we're here for,
Yes. And so I would ask, in the moments when you've been able to pop out of that, maybe not be the rescuer, but be the supporter. Not, let me fix this. Like, how can I support you? Let me ask you some questions. Not the victim, but maybe the creator. Like, hey, what are some potential ideas here? How has that felt when you've been able to pop out into a different mindset.
Yeah, that feels so much better to do that than to just feel like you're it releases all the pressure.
Love that. Yes, right? It's so much easier to really think about, I can make suggestions and I can engage with this person in a healthy, productive way versus my emotions are running the show and telling me what to feel and what to think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you have that awareness. Like, this doesn't feel good, but this over here does. And so having that self-awareness to recognize when, you know what, I'm not in a good frame of mind with this. I'm going to go have a conversation with another HR professional that can help me switch my state of mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can almost hear you thinking. I hear you thinking.
Well, I've also gotten better, but still, it's always a struggle, but it's like, this isn't my mess. This isn't something that I have to do extra emotional labor around. I can let them have their mess and still focus in on my outcome. And there's a real centeredness that comes to that. I've seen people really burn out in my field, and that's not the type of lifestyle that I want. And so taking that time out in nature or just, there's a lot on my plate, but I'm just going to leave it for today and I'm going to go just connect with nature or be outside or do something that is.
Love that.
And those are sometimes when the answers come. It's just by disconnecting, going on a walk, you come back and you're actually more productive. Able to handle it better. And I think what you're saying is, getting curious and noticing when those, victim or fixer personalities are coming out.
Yeah. This is Coach Cora on the People Playbook with Shae Noble on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We're discussing her question of strategic misalignment and how to navigate those differences between people's actions and desired outcomes. Shae, I thought that was just really beautiful what you just said, and I want to reiterate that when I recognize my own state of mind, I love that you said that, and then going and finding those outcomes and finding ways to say, I don't have to own everybody else's stuff. I need to manage myself. Is that a fair summary of what you just said?
Yes, absolutely. I love how you said that.
Yeah. Whether that's walks, I love that, walks with nature or just letting it go. I used to report to an executive vice president who, when he would report to the CEO, was very dynamic, high energy, and sometimes could be real fast acting. And one of his sayings he used to say is, listen, if you want to go burn down that barn we just built, I'm all in. I'm your guy. I'm going to stand by you. That's what you want. I'll go get the rags. I'll get the gas. I'm in. But before I do that, I just want to make sure we're going to burn the barn down, right? And it had just a great way of putting a pause on things. Like, what are you talking about? Why would we burn the barn down? Because if we do this, it's going to deconstruct everything we just built. And if that's what you want, I'm in. And I think that's kind of what you're saying is, if you want to go down that path, I'm here for you. I just want to make sure. Do we agree that's the path we're going to walk down?
Yeah.
I love that. I want to ask a final question, and you sort of already asked it, but I want to ask it again. What specific actions, like baby steps, what could you do in that situation? You're feeling that there's some misalignment. What is one small action that you could take to move you towards that solution, take you out of that non-productive mindset, and to move forward?
I think just taking a moment to reconnect and regulate myself before going back into it, so I can go in with a clear mind and a centered, just having that break from the problem instead of just driving through to the outcome.
I love that. I love that as a first step. You know what? I'm just going to self-regulate. Yeah, I love that. And so when you do that self-regulation, what would that allow you to do?
I think then it kind of brings you back to reality of like, this problem is small, right? We're not saving lives, right? This is just a simple thing, because when you're sitting at your desk and you've gotten all busy all day, you can really get feeling like problems are really big. And you can come back with that curiosity. Because when we're under stress, we block that access to our curiosity.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Yeah. And that's the problem. If we're focused on the problem, opportunity and options and possibilities shrink to all we see as the big problem. When we say, what are we driving for? What's the outcome? What's most important? Opportunities and options just are flung wide open, and we can think in a different way. Absolutely. This is Coach Cora on the People Playbook with Shae Noble on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, discussing her question of strategic misalignment and what it feels like to be in that those turbulent waters. And she's come up with some really good insight, and I applaud that. Pull it together for us, Shae. What is a key takeaway from this discussion for you, and one main step or action that you would take moving forward?
I would say approaching it with curiosity and asking insightful questions to figure out where the person is and remind them of what their outcome that they're desiring is.
I love that. I love that. And I could see that in you. Just the little bit that we've talked, I think that would be for you far more reflective and representative of who you are and who you want to be, to have that mindset of curiosity, to ask those questions, to, you said to be centered. Would that speak for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and then
really helpful.
It's uncomfortable to have the angst and the frustration and to get in that, whether it's I'm in a victim mindset, I don't feel like I have control, or I'm, like you said, in that rescuer mindset, I've got to fix everybody else's problems. Neither one of those are comfortable, and they create angst. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they might feel comfortable at the moment because you think it feels good, right, to be taking action. But it doesn't fix the problem. It actually you're actually becoming the problem in those cases.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shae, for your courage in bringing this question forth, first of all, and also role modeling for other leaders that even as an experienced, tenured HR who receives and facilitates a lot of these conversations, they also need the conversations. And these just-in-time conversations help us to be more productive and to really center in on who we are and who we want to be. And this is a challenge many face. We commit to an organization that we applaud, we align with their values, yet when we get into the act of doing the work, we find out it looks very different in action. And it looks very different on different people. So I encourage you to think as leaders, when you find yourself in that state of angst and that frustration, to start with a vital question. Where's your focus? Is it on the purpose, or is it what you want to accomplish? And then next, to think about yourself. Where are you focusing? Where are you operating from? Are you looking for that I can solve the world, or I can support the world? And finally, what is it you're doing? Really understand what are the baby steps you can take to move you forward. And that will give such a different perspective on the problem for you. And that is our play for today. So if you have a question you are willing to work through on air, go to www.coachcora.com and click on I Have a Question. This is Coach Cora here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer on the People Playbook. Tune in next Saturday for our next real question, real person, and real challenge.
And that's the play for today. Leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask better questions, listen deeper, and lead people with clarity and care. Join Coach Cora next week for more real people, real questions, and real coaching, right here on the People Playbook. If you have a real workplace challenge you would like coached through on air, bring it to the People Playbook website at coachcora.com/People Playbook and click Ask a Question.
The number one way to reduce turnover is to stop promoting people into failure. Often, strong individual contributors are promoted because they're great at the work. So great, we put them right to work to lead others in doing the work. We do more believing they can than training them how. That's why my Emerging Leaders program builds confident, capable leaders across 4 essential competencies: knowing themselves, connecting with others, leading the work, and developing their people. Leadership development does not happen in a classroom. And that is why this program ensures the participant owns their own growth. Their supervisor reinforces the learning every day in a guided process, and the skip level leader ensures alignment and accountability with intention and structure. The result are leaders who are less reactive, more strategic, and better equipped to build capability in others. Are you ready to build your leadership bench? Let's talk. Go to CoachCora.com for more information and to schedule a complimentary discovery call. Let's reduce that turnover.